Troops, welcome back. My name is Lee and this is Pursue Purpose. Primarily, I'm an ultramarathon runner with the goal of competing in the infamous UTMB. I am, however, a sub-3 marathon runner. After only actually running 3 marathons. Rotterdam in 2009 with a time of 3:51. Yeovil in 2019 with a time of 3:01, and then Gloucester in 2020 with my current PB of 2:57. After my next 40-mile race in 2 weeks, I will be pushing to qualify for the British Army marathon team, and for that I need to run a marathon in 2 hours 40 minutes. Now, in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you 4 truths about training and racing a sub-3 hour marathon. If you're a regular to this channel, it's no secret that I harp on about easy runs actually being easy and runners training their easy runs too hard. I actually ran this sub-3 hour marathon 2 years ago with 96% of my training being below or at MAF. And to top that off, I didn't really go further than 16 miles. Right, let's get into it. My 4 truths that most runners miss out on when trying to get a sub-3 hour marathon. Now, I will say some of these points are going to be controversial because most of them, people will find it hard to admit to themselves that in fact these are right. Anyway, be sure to stay to the end because my last point is my most pivotal reason as to why I actually achieved sub-3 hours in the end. Number 1, super shoes are not needed. I'll say that again. Super shoes are not needed. What do I mean by super shoes? Anything with a carbon plate. All it is hyper marketed and somehow fool everyday runners into thinking they can be a better runner just by purchasing these pair of trainers, often way past £200 mark. Now, the boom of the carbon plated shoe arose when the ultimate world's best runner Kipchoge ran sub-2 hours in Project 159. After his shoe was leaked, it started the boom. You could not then stand on the start of a race without looking around and being flooded by people in carbon plated shoes. At the start it was Nike, now more brands are coming on board. Now, for many reasons, at the beginning I was completely against spending that money. 1, because I was an absolute cheapskate, and 2, there's much more value for money that you can get. Over £250 of your hard-earned money. The miles to pound ratio is absurd. Now let's take my Asics Dynaflight 2s, which I raced 2:57 in. They cost me less than £50. In training, I'd had a few pairs and I'd cover well past north of 500 miles. That's less than 10 pence a mile. Let's be generous and say that the super shoes you would get 250 miles out of racing, and you pay £250. £1 per mile. That would definitely make me cringe and not make me want to run in them. Now, let's look at some hard facts. Did the Asics stop me from running the sub-3? No, they definitely did not. But what I would say, especially having now running a super shoe, a more budgeted one, they do hold off the fatigue, so your legs will feel a lot less more fatigued than what the shoe, what a carbon shoe would give you. But is that worth the extra £200? I'll leave that one to you in the comments for debate. Is it worth the extra £200 to make your legs feel a little bit less fatigued? Don't generally go faster. 4% rule, as people say. Anyone watching this that has run a sub-3 hour marathon, on top of that, was it in a carbon plate shoe or was it not? Comment down below. Let's have a discussion. Okay, the second truth about running a sub-3 hour marathon that nobody talks about. This one is going to wind a lot of people up, I am sure, because I've never heard anybody talk about it or promote it or even advise it, and it's something I've had to learn the hard way myself. But here we go. Your long run, a run that should not only be dedicated to building stamina, building endurance, but also prepares your body to run at a set marathon pace. However, here's where things differ for me. You should not be running at marathon pace. I'll say that again, not be running at marathon pace. You should be running at 5 to 10 seconds faster per kilometre. Listen, hear me out. I'll explain why. To run a sub 3 hour marathon, you need to maintain a pace of 4 minutes 15 per kilometre, or roughly 6:51 per mile. Now let's say you do all your training runs at this said pace. So when you're doing your long run, you do it at that said pace and never ever go faster. Now, what happens if on the day something outside your control, okay, kicks off? Anything, an upset stomach, an uneven surface, a hill, a dropped gel, a missed water station. You've only trained at 4 minutes 15 per kilometre. What are the chances that you would be able to increase your energy levels in order to overcompensate, okay, for that gap, for that uncontrolled factor? I'm saying this because I speak from experience. In Yeovil in 2019, I had trained at 4:15 pace religiously. All my marathon pace runs in my long run were done at 4:15. And then at mile 24, I hit a looped hill and I didn't have the energy levels to allow me to push past and expend that extra energy to maintain that 4:15 pace. And what happened? I slowed up. I ended up running 3 hours and 1 minute. But 6 months later, I trained at 4 minutes 10 per kilometre, or 6:43 per mile. A typical long run session for me would be 3 times 4 kilometres at 4 minutes 10 per kilometre with a 2 kilometre float. This, along with a mental winning attitude, allowed me at 35 kilometres to overcome that fudge factor and any dips in pace. And despite the ice on the ground, because it was January in Gloucester, I'd managed to bank myself enough time to compensate, and I ended up running 2:57 because I trained at 4:10 and my body was prepared. In actual fact, my goal was 2:59.59. So to summarise, truth number 2, make sure your marathon paced efforts are a little bit faster, even if it's 5 seconds per kilometre. It will pay off. If you are finding value in this video, then please do consider giving the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and if you haven't, what are you waiting for? It's free. I upload running content twice weekly on a Wednesday and a Sunday. Now, the third truth about training for the sub 3 hour marathon. And you knew this was coming. You do not need to do as much speed training as you think, or as you're often told. Don't get me wrong, if you're trying to gain a sub-elite status, by that I mean sub 2 hours 40 or even closer to 2:30, this doesn't apply. You need your speed training. But for the majority of runners, enthusiasts like me, where's the easy runs? Where's the easy runs? Where's the easy runs? Where's the easy runs? Where's the easy run? For the non-professionals, 3 hard sessions a week is too much. I don't care what you say. 3 hard sessions a week, tempo, sprints, and your long run too fast. Easy runs allow you to recover. They build and improve stamina and the cardiovascular system, and they prepare you for your hard days. If you want to know more about easy running and why you're doing it wrong, I'll leave the link for a video I done on easy running at the end. I'm not going to say any more about that. And the moment you've been waiting for, the last point, number 4, the 4th truth about running a sub 3 hour marathon, or in fact anytime. It's 70% mental attitude. 70%, maybe more. I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to say that you sat there watching this, that's right, I'm talking to you. I bet my house if you run a marathon, you would have hit the dreaded wall. There's many reasons that this will happen. Number 1, the pace you set off at was too fast. Now, look, I'm sorry to rub your ego, and I hate to say it, but you overestimated your fitness. You weren't as fit as you think you were. Maybe next time, gauge it a little bit better. Use tools like Metathon. Number 2, you didn't fuel correctly. I'm not going to delve into the whole nutrition game, but in short, practice what you preach. If you don't practice in training, how can you expect to do it in the race? And number 3, the whole point of this, you can overcome all these factors with a different mindset. How? I done a podcast with Tom Evans. One of Tom's main points was he said to me, you have to expect to hurt. So when that time comes, you're already expecting it. For me, in Yeovil, 35 kilometers in, you have to be in the mental state to say, in today. Not today, sweetheart. In Yeovil, I creamed in. I creamed in hard and I gave in to the hill. My pace died off. I ended up running 3 hours 1. For the next 6 months, I was absolutely raging. And I was adamant that this would not happen again. Even if I felt like death at 35 kilometers on my next marathon, I would not give in. I would not quit. I expected that hurt. And it worked. I got to 35k. It came and went. Repeating to myself, you've got this. Control your pace. It worked. Expect the pain. They say that the race starts at 20 miles. And that's true. But this is where the mental battle also starts. You have to fight the urge to drop the pace. You have to fight it off. It can be done. You've just got to expect it to hurt. Well, troops, that wraps up my video on the 4 truths of training and running a sub 3 hour marathon. I've done a few videos on the sub 3 hour marathon. Just check my channel out. There's a few there. Coming up next for me is the 40 miler from Puthcall to Penarth, Pegasus Ultra Running, the Vogum. That's in 2 weeks on the 4th of June. And going for sub 6 hours. So Wednesday, I'll probably publish how I'm going to tape. I start taping on Monday. And then Sunday, I'll do a video on the kit that I plan to use for that race. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you do have any questions at all, then please drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'll see you Wednesday.